Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome back to Light Body Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lara May, and today I want to get real with y'all, my Tennessee coming out. And this week I have procrastinated to almost the exact last minute I possibly can to post an episode this week. And the reason is because I've been feeling really tired and uninspired, and I've been doing a lot of other things, but the inspiration for this podcast was just not coming to me. And so I did my tools, I meditated, I talked with friends, and still nothing really came up. So I thought, well, what better topic than to talk about feeling uninspired and unmotivated? Astrologically speaking, there's a lot of crazy energy going on in the world with Saturn and the new moon and the comet that has been, visible to us, beautiful, but still, really stirring up some interesting energy for us. So if any of you also out there are feeling tired and unmotivated and uninspired, then this episode is for you. And I want to say that it's okay. And I think this is a lesson for a lot of us that struggle with that perfectionist or the certain standards or living up to certain schedules. It's okay for us to just take a step back and sleep a little more, have a little bit more downtime, spend more time with friends and family instead of immersed in your stuff, all the things you have to get done and all the things that you have to do to be productive and, all of those Western mindset things and Western cultural standards that we've placed on ourselves. And so I am coming to you today from a place of struggle, and I just wanted to be real and honest about that. And so I thought, in light of that I would bring you some thoughts about maybe what is contributing to your lack of inspiration, and then, of course, as always, give you some tools to help remedy it. So the first thing that you might have noticed if you're feeling uninspired are maybe contributing to this whole lack of motivation, lack of inspiration is, well, before I get to that, let me break down just the definition of inspiration so we're all starting from the same place. So inspiration by my tried and true Merriam-Webster dictionary is the process of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially to do something creative, or a sudden, brilliant, creative, or timely idea. So that's the definition of inspiration. And for a lot of the content, if not all of the content I put out, I rely heavily on inspiration. And of course, I love taking ideas that are brought to me and suggestions. But then once I have the idea, like, what am I going to do with it? How am I going to present it? And so that requires a lot of creativity too. And so when I think a lot of us that are used to being inspired and creative, we sort of have that moment of block or lack of flow. Ooh, and again, that word flow, which is my word for 2020. And hasn't that been a challenge for this entire year? That we sort of question, maybe we question everything. Maybe we beat up on ourselves. So I want us to really take some time to be gentle and to, it's also it should inspire us to dive in and ask questions like, what's going on with me? What's going on around me? So, are you giving more energy than you're receiving? And maybe there's nothing left in your gas tank, or maybe you're trying to pour from an empty cup. We've talked about that a lot in the past with self care practices. You can really only be of your full service when you're pouring from a full cup, not an empty cup. So, taking that time to take care of yourself and to make sure you're getting enough sleep, that you are properly nourished, that you're surrounding yourself with people that also bring you good energy, and you're doing things like yoga, exercise, maybe just walking in nature, being outside, all of these things that help you rejuvenate and pour from a full cup. Do you feel like you're spinning your wheels by focusing your energy on things that you can't control? And I think, especially in today's world, we really need to think about, where am I going to invest my energy? And is this something that I can control? Because what can we control? The only thing we can control in our world is how we react to things. So we can't control how others behave around us. We can't control what's going on in the news or in the world. Really, we can control what the energy we put out into the world, and then how we do or do not react to that. And so keep that in mind. If you're at work and you're frustrated with your coworkers or your boss, or maybe you're working from home and there's something frustrating about that situation, remember, you can't control how your boss behaves or how your coworkers behave, but you can control how you react to them. You can control how much energy you give them. And I know for me, I'm super grateful to have a very supportive career still in a hospital working as a clinical pharmacist. And so there's a lot of personalities that come in to a very dynamic work environment like that. And so, and sometimes there's themes that people like to constantly complain about, or I call it sometimes the bitch and complain train. And sometimes I get swept up in it and I get brought down and I get sucked in. And then other times I'm able to step back and say, like, you know what? I can be the observer of the complaining, but I don't have to get on that train. And a lot of times when I do that, I'm actually able to, I feel like, bring some good advice to the situation, again, without getting sucked in. So keep that in mind. Where are you allowing your power to be sucked out? And, if you're giving your power away or you're letting it be sucked out, then that's even less you have for yourself. And then for those that you love and care about, that you also want to be there to help and support. Are you looking to receive motivation from outside of yourself instead of igniting the fire within? So again, if we think about our power, our motivation, our inspiration, that is all things that come from the inside. And this is something that is trained out of us as tiny little children. And until we sort of get to that point in our adult lives, or sometimes maybe a lot of us are lucky to come back to realize that inner power younger. But I feel like a lot of us, we're all on our own journey, right? But our power and our inspiration and our motivation comes from inside. And so again, if we're giving our power away, then we're really actively disempowering ourselves. And so look to the inside for that inspiration, for that motivation, for that recharge. And I had a conversation yesterday with a new friend and hopefully new spiritual running buddy. And there were some ideas that came up through our conversation, but I didn't write them down. And then today, while I was trying to think about this episode, I'm like, shit. I should have taken those notes down as soon as they were there, because sometimes the inspiration can be so fleeting. And then, today I just felt totally wiped. And so I took advantage of that and I had some self-care, but then I came back. I'm like, this is the time we have to record this episode to get it out by tomorrow. And so I just thought, well, I'm just going to talk about what's real for me right now. And that's the fact that I don't feel inspired and I don't feel motivated, but we're going to figure it out and we're going to bring that to the forefront, because I know I'm not the only one. And that's, again, a lot of what I want to bring with all the content that I produce is support, so that you also don't feel like you're the only one going through something. So, how are your boundaries? Do you have healthy boundaries or unhealthy boundaries? Do you feel emotionally disorganized? And again, this comes back to you are the power center of yourself. And so, if you again are letting people run all over you, if you give more than you receive, maybe you're not asking for help, maybe you're not asking for support, whatever it is, remember that healthy boundaries, they're healthy because they come from a place of love, and that requires you to stand up for yourself and say, I love you, but I just can't do this right now. Or no, I can't show up to that meeting. Or no, I can't, do carpool this week, or whatever it is. You have to say, and say it from a place of love, that, I just need to take care of me right now, or I just need to focus on my little bubble of this world to be able to bring some more positive energy into it. And that's okay. And, if you get pushback or you get judgment from other people, that's their problem. That's their stuff. That's not yours. So, again, I think, especially as sensitives and empaths, that when we can take other people's judgment on really personally. And so I think this is also a good reminder that we can come from a place of integrity and love and respect. And when we put that out in the world, hopefully that's what we get back. But again, we don't have control over how people react to what we say, or how people react to how we behave either. And so if you get something back, you're like, it was hurtful or judgmental, or maybe even it escalates to bullying. Maybe, you're bullied into something by a coworker, a boss, a family member. Again, that's your sort of soul contract challenge to stand up for yourself and say, no, or, maybe you can find a happy medium, a place of compromise, of meeting that person halfway. So take a moment to think about that. Are you so focused on building your future that you are denying yourself from enjoying the present? So this is something that came up in that conversation with my friend yesterday, that we need to stop and celebrate our little wins. And I had not realized how much I was doing in my life between my full-time job and my private practice and my blog and my podcast and all of these things, and working on writing a book and working with co-teaching with another coach friend of mine, that I was watching her face as I was, introducing myself and telling her about what I do and all the different things that I do. She was like, wow, that's a lot. She's like, how do you get all that done? And I just thought, I'm like, well, I don't know. It just unfolds. And most of the time I feel very invigorated and creative and inspired doing all these things. And so I think this is, again, a perfect timely message to really think about stopping and celebrating. And then there was a similar conversation in my therapy session this week. I'm going through EMDR therapy, and my therapist was like, oh my gosh, that is something that you need to stop and celebrate. That accomplishment is so huge. And it's, sometimes when we're focusing so much on reaching a goal that we forget to stop and celebrate the little wins along the way. So I encourage you today, right now, wherever you are, to stop and think about what are the big goals I'm working towards, and what can I celebrate right now? What little thing that I've accomplished, or maybe it's a bigger thing you're not giving yourself credit for, that you can say, hey, good job, or you want to tell someone that will appreciate, so you guys can celebrate together. And I think that's important too, is to make sure that you have your tribe of spiritual running buddies, of supporters around you, so that, you can stop for them and say, hey, it's time to celebrate, or they will do that for you as well. And I think that also helps us to stay motivated and stay inspired, instead of like constantly slogging along and, oh, I do this every week or every other week, and then I do this too, and these are just the things that I do. And it's like, well, but are you enjoying them? Are you rejuvenated by them? Are you reveling in them? Are you really enjoying the present moment, regardless of what it is you're doing? And so I really want you guys to take pause and come up with at least one thing this week. If I would love for you to come up with like five, but if you can just come up with one tiny little thing that you can celebrate. I got a text message from a friend that she and I completed our yoga teacher training together, and we were both trying to figure out how we were going to integrate this training into our lives. Are we going to teach yoga? What are we going to do with it? And she texted me and she said, I found myself in the middle of this conversation, and she said, I felt like the teacher. And so that is a great moment to be celebrated, because that for her is a big growth step. And so things like that for you too, like where maybe you've dreamed about something coming true or evolving or unfolding. And even if you just find yourself in that energy for just a little minute or 5 minutes, just stopping and pausing and be like, hell yeah, I did that. Or yeah, I'm in it and it resonates and it feels good. So take note and take pause and celebrate yourself and celebrate your accomplishments. And again, this will help you be and stay on the inspired and motivated path. So, enjoying the present. And along with that, stop fixating on the past. You can't change the past. It's already happened. So the only thing you can change is how you move forward. And so definitely we need to pause and reflect, not dwell, but reflect and ask questions. How could I have behaved better? How could I have brought different energy to that situation? Because you are inevitably going to be represented with a similar situation, because that's just how we learn. That's part of what it's like to be a human in this spiritual body on this soul path right now. And so when you're represented with something similar, that's your chance to behave better, to choose differently, to choose again. And so stop fixating on the past, take what you can learn from it, let the rest go. And then when you are presented with that choice again, that's your chance to choose something different and move forward and grow. And again, help those around you grow and make different choices too, because we're all in this together. And so inspiration really does increase your well-being. And there was a study done that those who were exposed to Michael Jordan's greatness experienced higher levels of positive effect. And this increase in positive effect was completely explained by their score on this thing called the inspiration scale. And it's just a scale that allows people that study this type of feeling and behavior to quantify it. And so this inspiration was not transitory, though it was predictive of positive well-being, even as far out as 3 months later. So finding those people that you also find inspiring, and that's what the term spiritual running buddy comes from. And it's a term that I learned from Gabrielle Bernstein. And like my friend that texted me about being in that moment with feeling like she was the teacher, she is definitely one of my spiritual running buddies. And we've been through a lot of different trainings together. And it's so funny because we both, and this is natural, but I think sometimes we feel like, oh, well, now we should follow the same path if we're friends that learn the same thing. And that's not true at all. And so I think part of it is like watching the unfolding and being pleasantly surprised when things turn out differently than you expected them to, because hopefully it's greater than you could have ever imagined or greater than you expected. And so feeling that, really allowing yourself to bounce off that co-inspiration. When you are inspired, you are open to new experiences. You are more absorbed in your task. You're more rewarded by what you're working on. And so you're probably wondering, why does it matter if I'm inspired or not? But when you're inspired, then you're also more motivated to act. And so inspiration is just one word, but the way inspiration works in our life is multifactorial, as almost everything is, right? And we live in a 5D world. So there's the 3 dimensions that we can see, and then there's these dimensions outside of us that we can't necessarily see, but we know that they're there. And so there's inspiration, there's motivation, and then there's action and creativity. And so when you're inspired, you are motivated to act, and you are acting from a place of creativity. And so this helps people to have a stronger drive, but being less competitive, because when you're inspired, you're coming from a place of intrinsic knowing and support that you are going to get things done, that you are supported, that you have all the resources that you need, and you're moving forward with this calm knowing. And so that you don't have to grasp, or you don't have to claw, or you don't have to fight. Like there's not this energy of competition. And so think about that too. Take a moment. I'm challenging you today to reflect a lot. And so I want you to think about a time where you were acting out of a place of competition and lack versus a place or a time when you acted out of inspiration and calm and support and inspiration. So a lot of times when we really produce our best work is when we're inspired. And again, inspiration is the springboard of creativity. And so I challenge you to figure out this week and the next coming weeks until we meet again here, where can you bring more inspiration into your life? And inspiration is one of those things that pops up when you're in alignment. And again, I was totally real with you when I started this episode that I was not feeling it, but I came to the mic, I came to the chair, I sat down, I had a little bit of an outline, and I feel like I'm on this roll. And I feel like I've brought to you a pretty cohesive episode with things to think about and tools to walk away with, just about inspiration. And so how can you do that with your life? Is there something that you're working on or working towards that you do feel excited about, but maybe you're struggling with that motivation and inspiration? And so what can you do to stop and get more in the groove, in alignment, and then allow the flow to come with you? Allow that inspiration to flow, allow that creativity to flow. And so really if you have an outline or if you have a project plan, take a minute to review it, to step back to look at your bigger picture, because I think sometimes that's where we all get caught, and we get caught in the overwhelm. And so I want you to remind yourself of your big picture, of your big why. I hope, but if you haven't heard of Simon Sinek's TED Talk about your why, I definitely encourage you to look that up. That is also inspiring. So that's something else that you can do, is find things on YouTube or speakers that you like or books that you like that will inspire you, that will encourage you to think about things in a different way. Because when we are stuck, it is so helpful to change perspective and think about things in a different way that really, piques our curiosity. So where in your life are you feeling empowered in other ways, and how can that help you in this situation? And where can you challenge the status quo? Where can you shake things up a bit? So I feel like when we are not inspired, when we're having writer's block or we're just stuck, that it's because we're almost on autopilot and we're not being present. And so whatever you can do to disrupt your daily grind and bring in something new, bring in some creativity, bring in some celebration, bring in a new person. And so I was really excited this week to collaborate with a new person. I'm going to be teaching a spiritual business class later in August. And so if you're not on my email list, definitely head over to drlaramay.com and sign up for anything on there that is a freebie. And there's, at least a half a dozen just on my front page. And that will get you my email list. And if you're interested in building a spiritual business, I'm co-teaching with Deidre. And so we're going to be doing a 6-week group course, but it also includes personal sessions on the side to help you get clear, to help you build foundation, or maybe to help you expand what you've already got going. And so definitely sign up for my email list. Check that out if you're interested in a group learning environment to build your spiritual business. And I have a Patreon platform also where you can get extras, and there's different levels of that little, it's a little membership, and it's super affordable at entry level. And on there, I give you extra readings and I host extra classes. And so again, it's just more ways that I can support you with your creativity and your growth and your challenges and bringing our best selves into this world so we can have a more fulfilling life, a fun life, to enjoy the present, to release the past, and also look forward to the future, but not focus on future trip. So it's really about, just enjoying where we are now and different ways to do that, and ways that we can surpass our blocks and surpass obstacles that maybe rear their heads in our way sometimes. So thank you for joining me. I hope this podcast was helpful and it challenges you to think about some things about when you're blocked or not motivated or inspired. And I appreciate your time with me. And again, keep your eye out for these classes that I'm teaching. And if you want more bonuses, head over to patreon.com/Dr. Lara May to find out more about that. And I encourage you to go to andeidre.com too to learn more about her if you're interested in the class that we're going to teach together. And so I look forward to, I have more guests coming for this show too. So keep your ears and eyes peeled for that, because there's a lot more dynamic and exciting content coming that I can't wait for you guys to experience and to consume and participate and be present in and for. So thank you, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.